The Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love proved that they are the real deal in the NFC.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That is a fact, Jack. It is your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On NFL Barbershop podcast that comes on here every afternoon on the Locked On Podcast Network. And glad to have you here today. Today's show is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. We're going to move right through this show. First, we have to thank the everydayers for joining us here on Locked On NFL. We appreciate you and your time. And my man, Matt Williamson, of course, is here on Friday. We're going to let you know all of the things that we need to do and get through this show today, man. We're going to use some clips from people around the Locked On podcast and the Locked On NFL network to help you stay abreast of what's going on with each one of these teams. In the third segment, we're going to do what we normally do, a whip around the weekend, and we're going to play pick 'em. I think we did pretty good. We need to start keeping a record. I think we did pretty good last week on those games. Do the Cowboys regret the trade, not only with the way they played after week one, but how Micah has impacted and galvanized Green Bay? We'll start right there at the top, taking a look at the Packers and their dominance versus the Commanders. It's early, Matt, and we can't do it, but guess what? We're going to do it anyway. I'm going to tell you right now, man, they look like they got something special going on in Green Bay.
Yeah, they might be the best team in the league. I mean, I thought their week one victory over the Lions, who I still think are pretty darn good, was the best win of week one. Most impressive considering opponent. Now, a short week on the road is always tough, but two things I felt strongly about in the offseason was I was really worried about Washington's defense, not the offense. I think they can be a Bengals-like team and score like crazy, but can't stop many people. And I'm kind of patting myself on my back. My two favorite fantasy tight ends were Warren in Indianapolis and Kraft in Green Bay. You know, you didn't have to spend a lot to get those dudes. I have them on a bunch of my teams, and they both look phenomenal. I just think Green Bay can attack you so many ways. I mean, they were down 2 offensive linemen. I think they're really well coached on both sides of the ball. I think Hafley's a really good player. I know we're going to spend time talking about Parsons, and he's awesome. But he makes Van Ness and Gary so much better. And you go right up the middle with McKinney at safety and Cooper at linebacker. I think those guys are stars that don't get the credit they deserve, but they might this year if they win 14 games and go to the Super Bowl. And the offense is just loaded. I mean, Reed gets hurt, doesn't slow him down. Wicks is out there early. You know, everybody's just kind of taking their turn. And I think Love is he's another one of my offseason predictions. Guys set up to take the biggest step at the quarterback position. So
no doubt about it.
What we like about all those things I said, you know?
Yeah. And Jordan Love has taken that next step. I'm going to mention something about the skill position players, particularly the wide receivers and the tight ends of Green Bay that will kind of encapsulate why I think they're very, very dangerous. But first, we got to hear from the great Peter Bakowski of Locked On Packers. He's elated, by the way. Check this out.
I bet.
The Green Bay Packers dominated the Washington Commanders on Thursday night, but they still need to get that killer instinct. I'm Peter Bakowski, host of Locked On Packers, with 3 quick takeaways from a dominating Thursday night performance from the Packers. It starts with this offense. They had several chances in the first and second half to put this game away. The Packers had almost 300 yards of offense in the first half, but only 14 points to show for it. This was a game that was nowhere near as close as the final score indicated, and that's a problem for the Packers. They need to put these games away. On the other hand, Tucker Kraft is a star, an absolute star. The most yards by a tight end in a decade in Green Bay. A pair of touchdowns. Everything after the catch was spectacular. And for Jordan Love, I thought this was a B game for him. And yet, statistically, it's going to look like one of the better games of his career. That's how good he is. That is the level he can play to. We've seen him play to. He had on the first drive chances to hit Dontavian Wicks and Matthew Golden for touchdowns. Couldn't make it happen. If he hits either one of those, maybe this all plays out a little bit more comfortably for the Packers.
Look, I appreciate Peter Bakowski because as dominant as they looked, he said, "Oh, no. We ain't rested. We got to improve on this. And we got to improve on that." And he's right. They do have to clean some things up when they play against a team like the Eagles or the Rams, and when they start getting down to it. But for the first 2 weeks, they look like a confident team that believes in their quarterback. And here's the thing that I'm going to talk about: Tucker Kraft, day 2 pick, Dontavius Wicks, day 3 pick maybe, or something like. They are getting production from receivers and skill position players and offensive linemen that were not first round picks. And that to me is a big, big deal.
They've done that with O-lineman, Wig. I feel like my whole life. You know, they just keep I don't know if anyone drafts and develops mid-round O-linemen like they do. I mean, Zach Tom didn't play in this game. He's a really good player. I mean, most teams don't have a tackle in the 4th round that they develop into a big-time dude. Last thing I think Peter's being a little too critical because I don't think that game was ever in danger. I mean, they won pretty well against a team that was in the Final Four last year. But he is right. There were 3 or 4 passing plays that were left on the field, you know, especially early on, you know. Yeah,
they but you're right. He is being picky. Peter actually sounds like Matt LaFleur is going to sound like probably on today or this weekend. Yeah, don't get comfortable, man. Don't start smelling yourself. All right. There's another team in this equation that we have to discuss, and that's the Washington Commanders. And there's always this preseason discussion like, were we moving too quickly? I don't want to move too quickly and say we were moving too quickly, but I'll let David Harrison talk to you, and then we'll come back and discuss that.
Offense, ugly. Defense, ugly. Special teams, ugly. It's the only way to describe this Washington Commanders loss. First loss of the season. That's the good news. You got a long week ahead of you before the Las Vegas Raiders come to Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland to try to clean this whole thing up. But when you look at the basic just numbers of the situation, Jaden Daniels completed less than 63% of his passes 5 times all of last season. He's done it in both of the seasons, or the weeks this season for the Washington Commanders. The offense just looks out of sync. The defense, clearly, I think the word exposed. And then if you want to add injury to insult, literally, Austin Eckler looks like he's had an injury that's probably going to cost him the rest of the season. Dietrich Wise Jr., the same boat. So a lot of things for the Washington Commanders to address over the next week or so. We're going to be there for every single step of the way. So check out Locked On Commanders. Make sure you're sticking with us 5 days a week, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Washington looks like a team that's really trying to figure out who they are. I've been impressed a little bit with Javon Kinlaw because I was concerned about their defensive tackle position. Yeah. I like their additions at corner. It's almost as if they got a bunch of 6.5s and 7s, man, and not enough 10s on that defense.
Yeah, you mentioned corner. Lattimore's really struggling. I wonder if his best days are behind him. But I'm a Sainstro guy like Amos. You know, I think that they did good stuff there too. I agree with you. And I was worried about this all offseason too. Not that I have a crystal ball, but I thought the defense was lacking talent. I think I thought their offseason moves implied that they are trying to run before they walk. You know, I mean, all these big time additions. We're one player away. We're Debo away. It's not usually how it goes when you have the second pick in the draft the year before that. And I also think I'm not worried about Daniels' big picture, but a semi-Stroud like second year wouldn't blow me away because these guys just don't always just keep getting better and better and better and better. I mean, you take a small step back. The Giants are a good defense, and they probably all the defensive coordinators in that division, I'm sure, spent the whole summer watching Jaden Daniels tape. And same with Green Bay, playing them super early in the year on a short week too. So I'm sure there's things that people are throwing at him that are making him uncomfortable right now.
Yeah, and guess what? Just because a kid walks fast and talks fast doesn't mean he's going to get potty trained faster than other kids or ride a bike faster. Right. You got to kind of temper that a little bit. The Dallas Cowboys, watching Michael Parsons galvanize that team. Is there any regret? Probably not, but we'll discuss it anyway here on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is sponsored by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend, time to look back and crown this week's MVP. Who delivered? Powered by DoorDash, just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down right now. It's all about Micah Parsons, man. Even if it's not about sacks, it is about pressure. Micah Parsons all over the place, chasing Jaden Daniels out of the pocket last night, and then making his teammates better. Micah Parsons is definitely that guy. And just like Micah Parsons delivered for Green Bay, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, and fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. And today's show is brought to you and sponsored by FanDuel, man. Y'all know it's all about the NFL season, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love FanDuel because if you miss out on kickoff, you still ain't out of the action. You can jump right in at any point during the game and even at the very end of the game to see if you can catch and win you some of that Skrilla. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, moving and grooving here with my main man, Matt Williamson here, Peacock and Williamson podcast, talking about the NFL action. It just feels so good, Matt, to be able to do these shows knowing that the real games are here and the stories are writing themselves, and we can just pinpoint some of those things. And one of those things is Dallas. They are always the team that wins the offseason as far as the headlines is concerned. And now the headline is, thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. After the game, and Michael Parsons sitting there going like this and nodding his head, man. And it just seems like the battle of public opinion was lost during the trade. But then people started rationalizing. Well, they got a good player in Kenny Clark, and they got really, two draft picks that don't look like they're going to be very high right now. Jerry's got to be kicking himself a little bit to see how Micah has lifted up that Green Bay defense.
I mean, I don't know how his mind works in terms of regret and looking back at things and all those things, but we said this at the time, Wig. I mean, I remember that Friday going, you just don't trade guys like this. I mean, their impact is massive. And if these last 2 weeks, if he's a part-time player with a back injury and he's still doing it, I mean, come on. I mean, they're lining them up all over the line of scrimmage. I mentioned earlier, Van Ness and Gary, amongst others, are thriving because their talents are now one-on-one and not featured roles. He's a ridiculously good football player.
Ridiculously good. Yeah. I'm going to tell you how ridiculously good in just a second. But first, the Cowboys are actually struggling on the second level where they had Micah Parsons lined up. Maybe that was a mistake. Listen to the boys from Locked On Cowboys.
Kenneth Murray was kind of exactly who we thought he was, right? And so it's just a little bit frustrating to kind of see him out there get a ton of snaps in week one, and lo and behold, he didn't play all that well.
So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because you're right. He missed a lot of time this offseason, and it's a new scheme for him. Didn't play a lot in the training camp, didn't play at all in the preseason. So I think we should give him at least one more game before jumping to conclusions. Unfortunately, this is just who he's been. And I struggle with his fit in the defense because Matt Eberflus wants to have a fundamentally sound defense where the gaps are all controlled, guys are where they're supposed to be. And that's just never really been Kenneth Murray in the NFL or in college.
He's right. And the problem is maybe somebody went to Matt Eberflus and was like, I don't know, can you really get away with not having Michael Parsons? And all of this talk about him not stopping the run. You know what Green Bay's asked him to do? Go harass the quarterback, man. We ain't worried about all of that. Just put a guy in position to use his superpower and let him be what he is. And maybe Dallas devalued him a little bit because of what they were thinking he was, as opposed to Green Bay knowing exactly what he is and just turning him loose.
So it was 2 weeks ago, I guess, maybe 3. You said words like Lawrence Taylor when mentioned Micah Parsons, and I bit my tongue. I mean, that's the highest praise you could give. I mean,
Absolutely.
That's Jim Brown. I mean, we're not kidding around here when you say those words. LT was a ridiculous run defender. I urge people, go to YouTube and just look up LT versus run. It is so much fun. But Parsons is similar in that when you run away from him, he tracks your butt down. I mean, don't tell me he can't play the run.
It's just where you got him lined up, man.
Right.
So you're right about that. And I don't take what you just said. I'm glad you said it like that, because I have argued in barbershops for 3 decades that the best football player I have ever seen in my life was not a quarterback, and it was not Jerry Rice. I've said Lawrence Taylor.
Me too.
If you ask me who my GOAT is, it's Lawrence Taylor. So I don't use those words lightly.
Right. No.
But it's just like, come on, man. If you watch it, and people like to go to the little stats list. Okay, I got a quick story for you. Dude, I used to do radio with.
We could talk about it an hour for this one.
Yeah, this is when J.J. Watt was like on his 3rd MVP or whatever, right? And I used to tell my buddy that I did radio with, he ain't better than Lawrence Taylor. So he used to go to the stats list, and Lawrence Taylor's listed way down the list, right? Doesn't take into account they played 14 games. That also doesn't take into account that they ran the ball all the time. But anyway, I grew up a Washington fan. And this wasn't just me doing and saying these things because he ended Joe Theismann's career and terrorized the Joe Gibbs Washington teams. This was me being deadly honest. So we interviewed Tom Coughlin while he was he just stopped being the coach of the Giants, and this is before he took over the Jaguars. We were at a PGA event, and I asked him, I said, Coach, I need you to solve an argument. He said, okay, like what? I said, I need 30 seconds. I said, how good was Lawrence Taylor? Tom Coughlin went, Jesus. I said, you don't need to say anything else. And I turned to my co-host and said, have you ever seen him react to anything like that? He said, no. I said, that's all I got to tell you.
Coming from him, yeah.
Coming from him. He's never reacted like that to anything. He's always very measured. He just shook his head and he was like, oh my God. I said, okay, that's all. That's it. You got to go watch the tape and then understand the time that they played and the impact.
Right.
And I've always said this.
The way like an alien that came out from
the way Michael Parsons has played the last 2 weeks was the way Von Miller played against Carolina in the Super Bowl. And I told somebody back then that was Lawrence Taylor every week, regardless of the opponent. And it's like, what? I'm like, yes. So yeah, man.
No matter what he was doing the night before.
Ain't no telling what he was doing the night before, Matt.
Right.
Speaking of Pittsburgh,
super quick, I just have to throw this in there because you'll know. I mean, Gibbs changes his whole offense with tight ends, and I mean those great Washington teams. Everyone's just schematically just baffled by this guy. The whole division was just set on their ear.
Yeah, baffled, man. I'm telling you. Speaking of linebackers, that's what I meant to say. Pittsburgh has had their share of them. They've also had their share of DBs. They added Jabril Peppers. Now, if you go back 8 years ago, you say you're going to get Jalen Ramsey and Jabril Peppers in the same backfield. People would be going crazy because of their college stuff. They got Ramsey, and now they got Peppers. Let's hear from Chris Carter, and then we'll talk about the impact of them. And I'll get you to tell me a little bit about how it's been after the first week of Aaron Rodgers.
Hey everyone, Chris Carter here from the Locked On Steelers podcast with a breaking news update here outside the Steelers practice facility on the south side. The Steelers are signing safety Jabril Peppers, who was a free agent after his last 3 years with the Patriots. Peppers, a 9th-year NFL safety, coming to the team primarily a strong safety with a resume of a hard hitter and a captain with a history of leadership. He was a captain for the Patriots. He also played for the Browns and Giants. He has 7
Do you believe this is going to help Pittsburgh in a certain area and allow Jalen Ramsey to spend a little bit more time outside like he did last week when it came time, crunch time, and he was able to be on Garrett Wilson?
Yes. Like this week, I think he'll follow Smith-Njigba, who got like 60% of the Seattle's targets last week, which is crazy. I mean, I think he'll follow him to the parking lot in this one. It's funny. You know how Tomlin is. I mean, Slay has followed guys before. Porter used to be the guy that follows dudes. And basically, Tomlin was asked a couple weeks ago, if you're going to follow Jamar Chase, who's it going to be? He's like, it's Jalen. He's just a different dude. You've been around him in Jacksonville. He's a different dude. I really like the Peppers addition. I mean, it kind of reminds me when the Browns let Joe Hayden go a couple years ago for free. It's like, well, we'll take that guy and insert him in the lineup. And if you're going to give him to me for nothing, all right. He's had a good career.
Yeah. Give me a quick 30-second synopsis of how it's been after 1 week with Aaron Rodgers. Has this play got rid of all of the stink for the last couple of years when he was in New York?
Yes, but too much. Everyone's a little too overreacting. They think they got the guy from 10 years ago. I'm like, it's way better than it's been. Don't get me wrong. I think him and Arthur Smith have a good thing going. Being around Rodgers is super impressive. I'm really impressed with the person. I thought that with Russell Wilson, but it was kind of made up, to be honest with you, with him. Yeah. I think that it's a different vibe with this guy. We'll see if he holds up. I mean, the ball comes out super quick. I mean, his mind is great.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, we'll see how great your mind is when we pick these games here in segment 3, like we always do here as we head into weekend number 2 in the National Football League. We'll touch on it in just a second here on Locked On NFL. It is all about Mazda. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is Jordan Love, in my opinion. Growing up, being something that he wasn't in the past, like he was a little bit more consistent. He needs to be a little bit more consistent than that in order for Green Bay to live out their goals. However, Jordan Love played well in the first 2 weeks of the season against 2 very good opponents. And when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to Mazda vehicles. Mazda, move or be moved. All right, we're about to whip around this league. The biggest game, of course, was I think the game of the week was last night. It was the first game last weekend. It was the next to the last game. We've already gotten one of them out of the way. Browns at Ravens, revenge for Baltimore, or you better watch out because them little Cleveland Browns can be a little sneaky.
I didn't know the schedule when I watched the Ravens game Sunday night, but after that went down the way it did, I said, I am taking the Ravens no matter what the spread is against whoever they're playing in week 2.
Yeah, you got some. you got some either revenge that could work for them or against them. I think it'll work for them in this game. The team I cover is headed to Ohio to face the Bengals.
I'm torn on this one. I think this could be a fun Lawrence versus Burrow kind of shootout, a little bit of coming out party for Lawrence. I think Cincy wins, but I think there could be a lot of offense in this game.
All right, I'm gonna go with Jaguars for obvious reasons on that one, but we'll save that for another day. The Giants. They're already arguing on the sideline. The coach has to come out and say who the quarterback is in week 2, and they go to Dallas, who needs a win.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys. I was very impressed with Dak. I don't think CD is going to keep dropping balls. I think Pickens will do more. But I can see this game being pretty close.
Yep. Ben Johnson goes back home to Detroit. That looked a little bit out of sorts, man. What you say about that one?
Yeah, I'm going to bet on Campbell to get this thing after being embarrassed. That's too good a team to get embarrassed and then not bounce back. Kind of like I was just saying with the Ravens.
The Patriots have to go to South Florida. Will they rent a dump truck or will they rent a Ferrari? You let me know.
I like New England to win at the line of scrimmage. I thought Miami was the least impressive team of week 1.
The other day, I said that Mike McDaniel will be the first one to get a pink slip, even if they don't do it, actually do it. And he's going to be the one that mentally they all check out on first because it just looks like they're out of sorts too, along with Brian Daboll, of course.
He could be that guy in week 15 that gets hired by a contender to be their offensive assistant,
No doubt about it. The 49ers, man, you talk about a mass unit. They're banged up. They're going to New Orleans. I'm going to tell you right now, I think the Saints going to win this game. Well, what you got?
I don't know what the spread is in the game, but I would definitely take the points for the Saints to make this thing close. But I really liked what San Francisco's defense did last week. I'm going to take the Niners to win a close, ugly one with Bosa and Warner.
A reminder, if you want to know the actual spread, because it's fluid, make sure you check out FanDuel for the official spread here from Locked On. Buffalo riding high. The Jets look pretty dang on good, though, against your team last week. And Armand Membo made TJ Watt look like he took the day off. What do you got?
Yeah, Membo was my favorite guy in that draft. I'm really impressed with the Jets. I don't think they win, but I bet they run all that. Buffalo D worries me. I think this is a close game too.
Yep, and I think after playing Pittsburgh and Buffalo, even if they don't win, they haven't lost.
Right. I think they're in a really good spot.
Yep, they are in a very good spot. Seattle, one of the teams that I really don't like, they come to see you guys in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think the Steelers' D rebounds, but I also think Seattle's D is going to be really difficult to play against. I just don't like where Seattle is offensively. Home opener in Pittsburgh, the Steelers almost always win those games.
Best coach in the league versus maybe one of the 3 worst coaches in the league, at least according to their fan base. The Rams visit the Titans.
Yeah, I think the Rams take care of business here.
Handle it. You see how simple that is.
Yeah.
Carolina came here last week. It didn't look as bad as the score indicates, but still looks like they have some holes. Ted McMillan can really, really play.
Yeah.
And so can that little rookie corner out there in Arizona. Who you got?
Oh, man. Will Johnson, I'm glad you brought him up. He had a great debut. I think Arizona wins, but I didn't love how they played overall, especially offensively, and Kyler too.
I did not either.
Yeah.
Tricky game here, and tricky from a lot of different standpoints. The Colts, are they really for real, or is Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones made, to me, Brian Daboll look even worse, because you leave and then all of a sudden you go down there looking like Joe Willie Namath or somebody. But they host Denver, who was kind of clunky last week.
They were. I'm going to trust Peyton on this one to get it right, but I think Indy's defensive coordinator upgrade goes a long way. They got a lot of weapons too. Surtain can only take away one guy. I'm going to take Denver in a real close, ugly, low scoring one.
I said the game of the last night was the game of the week. Okay, 1B is Philly going out in the afternoon to Arrowhead. I think the Chiefs need a win, man, in the worst way.
I do too, but I think this one's really hard for me because I can't imagine the Chiefs being 0-2, losing at home in a game like this. I just think Philly's noticeably better. I'm going to go with the Eagles.
I'm going to go with Philly in that game
Are
too.
you?
And yeah, it's dangerous though, man. That's a dangerous game, I think, both ways. The Falcons, who look pretty good, didn't kick it at the end. Minnesota didn't look as good, but I think they're one of the most well-coached teams in the league. That kid grew up a little bit on me in the second half, though. Falcons and Vikings.
Yeah, and I thought Penix looks the part as well. I kind of wish I knew if Drake London was playing or not, but I think Minnesota in a night game is all lubed up and a really hard place to play, and I'm a Flores believer.
Flores will confuse a young quarterback just like he did after the beginning last week with Caleb Williams. A little doubleheader on Monday. Really, really good game. This is probably my third favorite game. Tampa going to visit the Houston Texans.
Houston let me down last week. I thought they were going to win that game. I still have a lot of concerns about their O-line, but I'm going to do a bounce back at home based off their defense.
All right. Emeka Ibuka has let everyone know that he's in the building also.
Oh, man.
For the Bucks. Last but not least, the second part of a doubleheader. My Harbaugh, my Jim Harbaugh Chargers, man, that I believe in, facing the Raiders, who Brock Bowers a little bit banged up. Genty was slowed down a little bit. I think the Chargers have too much firepower.
I 100% agree. I just love what Herbert did in week one. They're unleashing them. I think the Vegas secondary is not going to be any match for that group.
Well, Quentin Johnson saying, "Hey man, hold my beer. Don't be forgetting about me. I was the number one pick." Yeah, I like what they're doing. I can only imagine how good they'd be if they had Rashawn Slater and Joel. That's wild, man. All right, make sure you check out Locked On NFL. Tyler Rowland will hit you in the morning because the madman will wake you up like a double shot of espresso with all of the big news from the weekend's action, and then I'll slide back through on Monday in the barbershop, just like I just did here. And Matt Williamson, of course, will drop a Peacock and Williamson podcast for you with my man Brian Peacock, and they do it like you can't get any other show like that. Trust me, I watch the clips every single time, and y'all know that I always put them up here on Locked On NFL. So make sure you check that out. For additional information, if you're on a plane or something this weekend, traveling to your favorite game, check out the Locked On Podcast newsletter at lockedonpodcast.com/newsletter. For my friend Matt Williamson, I'm Tony Wiggins. We appreciate these 30 minutes that you spent with us. We value your time and do not take it for granted. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Thank you.